Welcome back, everybody, to the Inside Texas Basketball Show. I'm your host, Evan Veith. As always, joined alongside me is Keenan Womack. Before we hop into it, you can get Inside Texas for just $1 in your first week. As a bonus, your membership includes a complimentary year to The Athletic. It's a great deal going on right now over at InsideTexas.com, which is your best place to go for any football, baseball, basketball-related news with the Longhorns. And, of course, today with Keenan is a basketball show. We love talking ball here, Keenan, even when we're still in the offseason and an interesting thing happened this weekend with Texas football. We don't talk about it. We're here to talk basketball. So, Keenan, the Texas basketball roster has officially dropped. The 2025-2026 group is on the website. You can see their heights, weights, names, everyone who's there. If you want to pull up that article for us, Homer, it's got all the players there, and we have that full 15. We have that core 8 that we really are looking forward to watching play, seeing how that rotation works out. Keenan, of this group, is there any – I think when I look at these rosters for football, basketball, baseball, I love looking at the measurables, seeing how far people have grown, if they've lost weight, added weight, what they're doing to their game at the moment. This may not be exactly where they're playing at, but did anything stick out to you from specifically this group of 8 players that you're looking at on your screen right now? Heights, weights, anything interesting for you?
Yeah, man, Dalen Swain is a legitimate NBA prospect. Yeah. I thought he was before he even came to Texas. I thought he was at Xavier last year. He was a guy I thought about in the second round of last year's draft. If he had gone pro, he probably would have been drafted considering some of the guys that went in the second round last year. So, 6'8", 225, that is legitimate combo forward size. I mean, he can legitimately play the 4 in some instances in the NBA and certainly play the wing position. That's excellent size for a wing. Not just height, but frame, 225. He's built, he's strong. And then Matas Fokiatitis is a legit 7-footer, 255. Yeah. That's a big man out there. That's a tough guy that's a tough guard for anybody, really. When you got a 7-footer that's 255, especially with the amount of skill that Matas has in the lane. Like, he has really nice touch, especially for somebody at 7 foot, 255. So he's a guy to me that could be a real impact player early on. And, Traore is 6'9", but he's 245, which I've said this before. Those are Janai Broom's measurements. So that's kind of just an idea. I'm not saying he's Janai Broom. Do not quote me on that. But I am saying he has that size where he's like a big built guy who's a little more compact. He's not quite as tall, but he can throw his weight around in the paint. This is a big team. Outside of Pope and Weaver, everybody's at least 6'5". Wilcher 6'4", 6'5", kind of on that precipice. So this is a real big team, especially when you talk about the 8 guys that they're likely going to be rotating. And then the 3 guys that I think are going to come in as well and play some minutes. And John Clark, who's 6'9", 240, is a true freshman. Nick Cody, who's 6'8", 220, basically Dalen Swain size. And then Declan Daru, who's 6'8", 235. So this is a really, really big front court.
Definitely. Yeah, Connor, you're going to need to clip and ship that Janai Broom and Traore connection.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I think when I first looked at this and I'm looking at players, Tremont Mark's a big guy. I was 6'5", 210, and I think he was listed as 6'6" at points in time. So, he's like a 6'5" 0.4 or whatever his real height is. He's a big player, but Fokiatitis is what really stood out to me because that scouting report when he came in is he's a young player. He's 7 foot tall, but he might be a little lanky. He might be a little bit easy to bully when you are really deep in the paint. When you have someone like Janai Broom's size, who's a little smaller but has the same amount of weight, lower center of gravity. But if he's really playing at 255, that is a legit interior presence. And he does possess that kind of almost stereotypical European big man game of can work well in the baby hooks. You like having him in those short rolls where he can just have the ball in his hands, find a spot there, maybe use a spin move. I'm excited to see how he plays. And I'm not sure how exactly the starting lineup is going to look. In the future, we'll talk about rotations more specifically and in depth, but he has a chance to start alongside Traore and Swain to have 6'8", 6'9", 7 feet in the front court. There's also just he and Swain, just he and Traore. However, the Coach Sean Miller is going to run these guys out. There's going to be a lot of height on this team, like you said. The smallest lineup you're going to see is Pope, Weaver, Wilcher, and then like 2 centers. Like that's still over 6 feet, 6'3", 6'4", and then big guys, and that's what's important. Let's talk about some of these. If you want to scroll down a little bit, Connor, to that Daru, Cody, Clark group, because especially with adding Declan Daru to this team is interesting because you already had Clark and Cody. What do you think is kind of the differentiators between these players? Because just strictly looking at them as guys who we haven't really seen on the court, it's just a bunch of 6'8" to 6'9", 230-pound guys, all who are going to do the same thing. But what are we going to see from each of them individually?
Yeah, I think Cody is more of a combo forward, and I think Daru has some combo forward to him as well. You know what I mean? He's listed as a forward on the site, not a center. The two guys listed as center, three guys listed as centers are Clark and Vokietitis, and I can't remember if Traore is listed as a forward or a center. I guess he's both, really.
He's a forward. I have it up right now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So. I think Daru's going to play a lot more 4 than 5 personally because he has the ability to attack the basket from the perimeter, and I think that kind of differentiates your centers from your power forwards in the Miller sense, I suppose. Clark's a true 5. He's a guy that's going to play in the post. He's going to be in the paint all the time. I think Cody's a guy that could rotate and play some 4 as well because, and I've talked about this before, but kind of what you need. If you're thinking about these guys from an NBA perspective, and all these guys want to make the league, every single 4 in the NBA essentially that starts or plays a good amount of minutes has some kind of perimeter skill, whether that's 3-point shooting, whether that's the ability to attack a closeout, you know what I mean, or some kind of perimeter ability to make reads out there. There's some kind of skill that translates to you can play a little bit on the perimeter as a 4, take that extra big man out of the paint, provide some driving lanes. Now, if you're running some kind of 5-out offense, obviously that's a requirement for a 5. If you look at like Mark Pope's team, a lot of his 5s have the ability to spread the floor. If you look at Nate Oates' teams, they like to do the same thing. So I think Daru is more of a 4. I think Cody's more of a 4, and I think Clark is a true 5. If I had to put my stamp on it right now, that's what I would guess would be their rotations when they do come into the game.
And you'd have to think that one of the big things with Nick Cody's game that they're working on with him is you're entering your sophomore year. You're still only about 220 pounds, which means you're a little bit lighter than a lot of these other 6'8" type of players you're going against. Maybe some switchability on defense, being able to guard a bigger 2 or a 3, and also the corner shooting, which we've talked about with Dalen Swain to extend that he needs to be able to shoot a little bit this year. Same with Weaver to have the full impact of a full NBA level player on the team. But just in general, when you're looking at this roster, if you want to scroll a little bit back up for us, Connor, it's old for sure. There are a lot of players. You have a grad transfer in Traore, Pope, Mark, Weaver, all going to be on after this year. But say, in theory, Swain does come back for some reason, and Hyde and Wiltshire are there still. You still have Vokietitis. That would be 4 of your core 8 from this year already coming back before we talk freshmen, before we talk transfer portal, before we talk maybe assuming one of Clark, Cody, or Daru impresses enough that they are pretty locked into a role coming into next year. Yeah. You're already solving a lot of your big man and wing minutes right there. And then obviously we all know that going forward, guard play is going to be the most important thing for this team to acquire. But I think they're sneaky good for next year when it comes to returning players because they're old now, but a lot of that old comes from juniors or guys with the year of eligibility like Wilshire or Heidi.
Yeah, I agree. I think Swain's gone. I think he's an NBA guy. I really do. But man, if you could bring back Vokietitis, that's the type of guy that could be an all SEC dude next year. I mean, we'll see how the leap he takes this year. But I mean, you just look at the improvement from game to game last year. It's like he improved every game he played. His last few games of the season, he averaged like 15 and 7 or something. I think it was his last 5 or 6 games. He averaged something crazy like that, especially for a young guy. So I think your goal, assuming you can't bring back Dalen Swain and that he does go pro, and we're just saying, we're just kind of spitballing here. You have no idea how the season goes. But from what I've heard from scouts, they really like Swain. I've heard him as a first-round draft pick in a lot of circles, and I talk to a lot of NBA draft guys on Twitter or through text, like whatever. He's a guy that I absolutely has to develop a shot, right? There's no question about that. If you're playing combo forward in the NBA, if you're going to be a 3-and-D guy, got to have the 3, right? But yeah, man, if they can bring back Vokietitis, Daru, maybe Heidi, I mean, that could be they could pack some serious punch. Or, I mean, Wiltshire, they have guys that they could bring back next year. And depending on how they do in the conference, I agree with you. I think they could have a pretty salty lineup for the 2026-27 season.
Yeah, just looked up really quickly. Vokietitis in his last 6 games, 13.5, 7, and 2 blocks a game.
That'll get it done.
Impressive.
That'll get it done.
That'll do.
That'll do, my friend.
Speaking of things that'll do, if you need help with your kitchen remodel or anything like that, Luxe Kitchen and Bath is where you need to go.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's Luxe. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Back half of this episode, we're going to talk about some visits, which been a staple of what we've been talking about a lot recently. You're slowly getting into the season. It's how most of these college sports work, where you get those visits of the guys you really care about in before, so they can kind of get acclimated with the group and then see how your team does going in. So the big name that we've talked about for a lot of the last kind of year and a half, and almost unfortunately for Texas, he's become so good and become such a national name, is Austin Gooseby, because he's now a 5-star. Trevor's brother, the starting left tackle for the Longhorn football team. And obviously there's some teams like Duke and Miami who are surging up really into his boards, but he's coming around to Austin. And I actually saw him personally at the Ohio State game in Columbus. He was there rocking his brother's jersey. So there's definitely still connection with Texas here. And it's anyone's game for a guy like Gooseby, but he's a really talented shooting guard.
Yeah, Gooseby's the type of guy that could be a one and done first rounder next, not next year, year after. Super talented scoring guard. I mean, he's a guy that was getting hype as a sophomore in high school. I believe he was district player of the year as a junior, maybe even as a sophomore too. I mean, just absolutely unreal run at 3SSB, unreal run at every Adidas camp. I mean, he's just been an unreal talent. And you're right. Miami and Duke are surging in this recruitment, no doubt about it. But Texas, they're still in there, right? There's still a chance just due to the connection. And Miller texting him early on in his tenure as the Texas head coach. One of the first guys he texted was Austin Gooseby. So, yeah, I mean, Gooseby's coming in this weekend for a visit. I believe he'll be back for another one at some point as well, maybe on the 20th. I can't remember the exact date, something like 21st maybe. But, yeah, I mean, this is a recruit they're going to have to nail, or a visit they're going to have to nail because – like you said, he's a guy that's getting this national hype. I mean, Duke, and when you have Duke on your tail, it's like everybody wants a guy that Duke's after, right? And, Texas was on him before Duke was, but yeah, definitely schools to watch this recruitment: Duke, Miami, Texas. And it's going to be a real important weekend for Texas basketball, especially considering him and the other visitor who we'll get to right now.
Yeah. And that's, Texas football and basketball interchangeably. Austin Gooseby is going to be at that football game this weekend. You're hoping for a better performance from the Longhorns and that offense. But it's Cam Williams, I believe. Is that correct? The power forward who's coming in for
yes, Cam Williams.
Talk about him because I know he's one of the true top elite recruits in this class.
Yeah, this is a guy that, according to the Rivals industry ranking, is 7th overall in the class. Mm-hmm. So this is a 6'11" forward, bouncy, athletic, can run the floor, can put the ball on the deck, can shoot. He's like a real unicorn type of guy, and I hate that term gets overused, but he truly has some unicorn qualities to him, you know what I mean? And he's not a finished product yet. He still has some strides to make, but I mean, the potential is outrageous for this guy. This is a guy that could be, talking about the class of 2026, could be in consideration for one of the top picks in the draft already. And he's, going into his senior year of high school. So another massively important battle for Texas. Arizona and USC hot on the trail. Purdue's on the trail. SMU. You're going to see a lot of recruitments against Purdue. Purdue is because you look at it, Matt Painter is one of the best coaches in basketball. He got a lot of flack for that first-round loss to Fairleigh Dickinson where they implemented the Edey rules. And then the next year, he takes them to the national championship game where they lose to UConn. So Painter's a really tough guy to battle out. But, I mean, the kid is from Arizona. He plays for St. Mary's. So he's from Phoenix. So obviously Arizona has the home state advantage, and they have an amazing program as well. But Cam Williams is the type of guy that can really change the trajectory of a program pretty early on. He's the type of guy that can come in and be like a dominant force pretty quickly. So huge weekend for Texas basketball recruiting, especially, these two guys visiting. If they can nail down either of these two visits, really huge news for the Longhorns.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get Texas to go big fish hunting and get two of those guys. But, Cam Williams, you look at his measurables, and you go down like the top 15 or so recruits. I believe that's how many 5-stars they have on Rivals.com to kind of simulate the NBA lottery.
The lottery, yeah.
And there's no one that has the measurable to position combo, maybe apart from Dylan Mingo, who's coming as a 6'5" pure point guard.
Yeah.
But 6'11" power forward, specifically for college basketball, is just unheard of. You'll hear that in the NBA, and that's, like you said, the unicorn types.
Those Jaren Jackson type guys.
Yeah, exactly. And even he kind of double plays as a center, but it seems like Williams is a true power forward coming in. But if you can get a guy like that on your team, it's almost kind of the way that Trey Johnson was so just insane at what he could do well at Texas, which is that right side, dominating the right side of the court, making these tough shots, dominating with and without the ball for Texas. A recruit like Williams is what that gives you. And I think winning one of him or Gooseby would really kickstart this. I don't want to quite say rebuild, because the Texas Longhorns basketball team is probably going to be good this year, just not great. So starting that ascension to consistent top 20 program, which they aren't right now, but I think it's the kind of recruitment that can get you there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this kid is really, really special. If you're interested, man, go on YouTube and just type in Cameron Williams St. Mary's. It's hilarious. It's like comical to watch how fun this guy is. He's such a good athlete. He's so coordinated at 6'11", 200 pounds. He can shoot. He can handle a little bit. I mean, it's crazy to watch. So if you're interested in this recruiting battle, go ahead and I'll have a piece up about both of these guys tonight, either tonight or tomorrow morning, whenever this drops. I don't know what day this will drop, but there'll be an article out about the two visitors pretty soon.
Yeah, Texas, they got affiliation for guys named Cameron Williams who are large for their position. Talking about something about the tackles. Left tackle, brother, right tackle, same name. Who knows what's going on with that? But that's going to do it for us over at Inside Texas Basketball. Quick little show today just to get you informed on what this roster looks like going forward, that core 8 that we talked about, and also some of the biggest recruits that are coming in for Texas football. Of course, go over to InsideTexas.com. Right now, you can get Inside Texas for $1 in your first week. As a bonus, your membership includes a complimentary year to The Athletic. It's a really good deal going on right now, and Inside Texas is the best place to go for all this information regarding the Longhorn. So thank you so much, Keenan, as always, for doing this show, and that'll be it for us. We'll see y'all next time.